There's much much speculation about Israel. Do you find it interesting that the nations of the world, especially America, are withdrawing support from Israel and giving support to Iran in the nuclear zone? Do you find that interesting? You see, Satan lives in spiritual darkness. If you look through the Bible and through modern history, Satan has tried to destroy the Jews. In Moses' day, in the book of Esther, if you read that beautiful book Esther, then in Herod's day, where all the babies under 2 years of age were killed, a voice was heard in Ramah, Rachel weeping for her children. Then you go forward, and people like Calvin hated the Jews. That's why Hitler loved Calvin's writings and also Luther's writings. They were both anti-Jew. Now, then you go to World War I and II, the persecution of the Jews. Satan has this idea that the bride are Jews. That is his delusion. You see, the bride of Christ are not confined to any nation. The Apostle Paul said, if you belong to Christ, you are the Israel of God. And when Peter went to Cornelius, he said this, I perceive God is not partial, but in every nation the man that fears God and obeys God is acceptable to him. Revelation 5 verse 9 verse 10 is very important. You made them, who? All people from all nations, to be a kingdom of priests and kings. You see, in Exodus 19 verse 6, Israel were given an opportunity. The Father said, Exodus 19 verse 6, if you strictly obey my voice, you will be to me a king of priests and kings. Then Peter explodes this in his letter and says, you are a royal priesthood, addressing Gentiles, converts to Messiah and Jews. If you study the Hebrew scriptures carefully, I'll let you do your own research, 2/3 of Israel will be destroyed by the alliance of nations, Muslim nations headed by Iran and possibly Turkey, from where the Antichrist may come from. They will smash Israel. The Father smashed Israel twice using pagan nations in 587 BC, not 607 as JW is falsely teaching. And then in 70 AD he used pagan nations to wake his people up. The third smash is coming soon, who knows when the Arab alliance, if you like, are going to smash Israel. 2/3 will be destroyed. But then a remnant will wake up, and then the Father will turn his attention to the pagan nations that attacked Israel, like he did in the past with Babylon and Rome. Now you've got the 144,000 in Revelation 7 from the tribes of Israel. They could well be, I don't know, the remnant of Jews who wake up after the Great Tribulation that's coming upon Israel and the whole world, who come to recognize the Messiah. Every eye will see him, and those who pierced him. Who are those who pierced him? The progeny of those who executed Messiah, using the Romans as whipping boys in 33 AD. The true Israel of God The true Israel, as Paul says, are those who belong to Christ. That's people of all nations. The bride of Christ are not the 144,000, right? Revelation 7 speaks about 144,000 and the great crowd who come out of the great tribulation from all nations. Only later, is it Revelation 19, is the bride introduced, right? But Satan has this crazy idea. It's all about Israel, all about Israel. I mean, Israel is a Zionist-controlled nation, and they're going to be facing very shortly, who knows when, a massive wake-up call when Iran, who have now been given nuclear power to do what the hell they like, they haven't had to have their, they can inspect their own weapons. Israel is facing a massive wake-up call, and 2/3, according to the prophecies in the Hebrew scriptures, do your own research, are going to be wiped out. Even though they got this drone thing, was it called the Iron Dome? Is it, or something like that? The Father needs to teach Israel a lesson, like he did twice in 587 BC and 70 AD. Why do you think America has given the go-ahead to Iran? These are expressions, Revelation 16 is it, inspired by demons. Because Satan has this idea. It's all about Israel, right? Backtrack to my previous statements in my video about the persecution of Jews. The bride of Christ, Revelation 5, 9 and 10, are composed of people of all nations who are made to be what? A kingdom of priests and kings. And you and I could be among them. Could be. We could be. Are you and I 24/7 consumed in getting to know the Father? Or do we spend our time on Facebook talking to people about trivial things, watching TV, etc.? Are we truly called out to be part of the bride? I mean, let's face it, any man that marries a woman selects that woman very carefully, and vice versa, right? We're told there, quite plainly in Scripture, these are the ones who did not defile themselves with women, meaning false doctrines of Babylon. What a glorious prospect, folks, that you and I can be part of the kingdom government arrangement. Isaiah 9, King James Version, the government will be upon the shoulders of the Messiah, the Mashiach, and he will have co-heirs, brothers with him, of course sisters as well, who will rule in the kingdom on this earth. And then long run, the dead will come back. Before the dead are brought back, we have to have this government arrangement, the foundation. I mean, no man or woman has a baby unless they build the house first, right? So the Father is creating this arrangement from people through the ages who are composed of Jews, like the apostles in the first century, and brave men and women throughout the centuries who stood against lies promulgated by the so-called church. Brave men and women who died because they would not accept the crap of the Trinity, etc., like Michael Servetus, for example. So, what's this video about in essence? It's not all about Israel. Israel is a Zionist-controlled country, but there are people there, even now, waking up to accept the Messiah. I'm not talking about Messianic Jews who are now Trinitarian. I'm talking about after tribulation, there'll be those in Israel who will come to Messiah. They could be the 144,000, I don't know. Meantime, you and I have this special privilege, and time is short, to be part of that bride class. As Paul said, addressing all the congregations of Gentiles and Jews, I promised you as a chaste virgin to Christ, but I am afraid, he said, that someone, like the serpent deceived Eve, might deceive you. So yeah, watch Israel very carefully. Watch the unfolding of a nuclear development. People, nations like Saudi Arabia, the whore in the eyes of Muslims, to which people flock to, like Mecca, are going to be nuked. They're going to be nuked. Because in the eyes of Muslims, Saudi Arabia are a whore with whom the nations of the earth have cavorted for their wine, Revelation 18, their oil. Watch the Middle East very carefully. Forget the Vatican and all this. This is a sidetrack, the Vatican. The Bible's all about the Middle East. Always has been. All about Israel. But Israel's going to be facing a big wake-up call shortly. 2/3 will be wiped out. Read the Hebrew scriptures. You check them out. But a remnant will wake up through great tribulation, as will a great crowd. Revelation 7, wake up through great tribulation. It's all unfolding, folks. It's all unfolding. And the latest obvious, to me, demonic inspiration is Obama, the Pharaoh of America, giving carte blanche to Iran. These are in fact expressions inspired by demons. Watch the Middle East very carefully. Don't focus on the Pope. He's a jerk. It's a distraction. It's all about the Middle East. Shalom.